Hello, everybody. Welcome. Checking our audio. Yep. Hey. So today, uh, excuse me. Welcome to the live stream. I'm very excited because today we're going to be talking about food and how food connects to your spirituality and your spiritual development. I just had an amazing, healthy, wild blueberry smoothie. So I'm just dealing with my situation here. One sec. Yeah, super excited today. We're going to be sharing some information from the medical medium. The medical medium info. This is the best health information on the entire planet by an extremely wide margin. Using this information has actually helped me to heal my eczema, and it has also completely helped me to heal my seasonal allergies. So it looks like we're live here. Hey, welcome. What's up? Yeah, sure, we can talk a bit about LSD if you're interested, no problem. Yeah, we'll talk about psychedelics if you want. But yeah, we're talking about food today. What's going on here? Let's refresh my stream. There we go. Thanks for coming, everyone. Yeah, so using this information from the medical medium helped me to heal my eczema, which is like I had dry skin and, horrible, itchy, like bleeding skin my entire life. It was really painful. So after applying this info for about 6 months, it went away. I've been applying this info for 2 years. So yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about your food and how it relates to your level of consciousness. Okay? Your food, how it relates to your level of consciousness, how the food you eat literally becomes your body. You understand? So this lemon, okay, this lemon, not only does it have healthy nutrients like vitamin C, like calcium, like healthy glucose, right? That helps. There's antioxidants, there's phytochemicals in here. So that helps to fuel your brain with the electrolytes that it needs, right? So many people are eating and drinking electrolyte powders, right? The gym bros having drinks, stirring in these store-bought electrolyte powders for some reason, thinking that, like, not realizing that fruits and vegetables actually have electrolytes in them. Like lemon water literally has electrolytes. You're just squeezing the lemon in here. Have you guys been drinking lemon water? I've been talking about it for a little while on the channel. It's very hydrating. Yeah. Thanks for coming to the live stream, everyone. I'm going to try to start doing these a bit more frequently. Oh, yeah. Hello, thank you for coming. Yeah, I'm pretty much vegetarian right now. Haven't been eating too much meat. I had a little piece of fish like a few days ago, but currently I am not eating meat. I'm actually eating the healthiest and cleanest diet that's possible for a human being to eat on planet Earth. That's because I'm following basically what is called the 369 cleanse from this book here. Okay? So, just so you know, this information that's in this book, it comes from God. Okay, so I know that sounds weird, but the info here is advanced, more advanced than modern science, which is why millions of people around the world have used this info to heal illnesses like anxiety, depression, acne, eczema. Like I've used this to heal my seasonal allergies. When spring comes around, I don't get allergies anymore. I used to get horrible, like itchy eyes, itchy palate, runny nose, congestion, whenever the spring would come, right? I don't get that anymore at all. So, and I struggled with that my whole life, and it's completely gone because I'm following the protocols, especially specifically the 369 protocol that's in this book. It involves when you wake up in the morning, you drink lemon water, right? That helps to flush your liver. So as you're sleeping at night, your liver is cleansing it's all of the toxins and poisons and fats that are your liver is like the filtration mechanism of your body. Okay, your liver has over 2,000 jobs in your body. Your liver is like the magic key to your health. It's almost like the filter for your body. So when you wake up first thing in the morning, in order to help your liver cleanse, you first of all you want to completely avoid fats in the morning. Okay, no fats in the morning. First thing, drink lemon water. Okay, so this helps to cleanse and flush your liver. The lemon helps to bind to a lot of these toxins and poisons that the liver sort of packages up and puts out onto the curb. The lemon actually binds to these toxins and actually is like the garbage truck coming to take the garbage off of the curb and flush it out of your body. All right. After that, about 15 to 30 minutes later, I drink 16 ounces of celery juice. Okay. Do I have my celery juice book over here? Yes, I do. Celery juice. This celery juice is critical because it heals all of your insides. It fixes your whole body. It fixes everything. It fixes your brain. There's sodium cluster salts. There's over 80 different varieties of sodium cluster salts that's in celery. What it does is it helps to break down deposits of fats. It helps to like neutralize the negative charge of certain toxic heavy metals. Hey, welcome to the stream. So if you didn't know, almost every single person on planet Earth has tons of toxic heavy metals in our bodies, in our deep organ tissues, in our brains. We literally have metals like lead, mercury, arsenic, cadmium, aluminum, nickel, copper, toxic copper. These things are not really supposed to be in your body, but because of the industrial world that we live in, where there's chemicals pumped out of, there's pesticides sprayed on all our food, that those pesticides contain toxic copper and other toxic heavy metals. There's heavy metals in the water that we drink from the pipes, right? There's heavy metals in the food, in the air that we breathe from the car exhaust and stuff. All of that contains arsenic, right? There's traces of heavy metals. So all of us are inundated with toxic heavy metals. So celery juice actually helps to neutralize the charge of these heavy metals, because you got to understand these heavy metals, they have an electromagnetic charge. So when heavy metals get into your brain tissues, which is actually very common and very normal. Almost all of us have a certain amount of heavy metals in our brain tissues, okay? They actually disrupt the electromagnetism of your brain, because think about it, it's a metal, right? It's in your brain. Your brain functions on electricity, right? So I'm learning about this from the book Brain Saver, right? There's lots of details here in this book, Brain Saver. We learn that our neurons and our brains are electromagnetic like functioning mechanisms. Okay, so when we have aluminum or deposits of copper, or we have deposits of arsenic or mercury in certain areas of the brain, people have it in different areas, in different amounts, right, with different types of metals, right? So everyone's situation is unique and different. Someone might have aluminum in their cerebral midline canal. Someone else might have copper in the emotional center of their brain, right? So we have different mixes and so sometimes even alloys, right? So certain metals, when the brain heats up, some of these metals, like the copper and the aluminum, if the brain heats up, like when you have an emotional day, you're really angry about something, your brain literally gets hot. Some of these metals, these micro tiny little metals, they can melt and fuse together, creating an alloy, right? So hey, welcome. You can have an alloy of copper and aluminum and let's say arsenic or mercury. They can fuse together in your brain, and now you have this toxic amalgamation, which what it does is it disrupts your nerves. It disrupts your brain's ability to communicate. Do you understand? So when we have troubles such as ADHD or OCD, or even certain types of PTSD, chronic fatigue, anxiety, depression, brain fog, a massive factor that is not spoken about very frequently in the conventional world, or we don't fully understand that the main cause of most emotional and neurological and psychological issues, one of the major causes, if not the main cause of these things, are actually toxic pollutants in the human body. Specifically, in this case, we're talking about metals, toxic heavy metals in the actual brain tissues. Okay, so this is something that modern research and science is actually very reluctant to sort of go down this road for many reasons. One main reason being that the pharmaceuticals that are being prescribed for ADHD, OCD, PTSD, I don't think, autism is related. I don't think there's pharmaceuticals that are prescribed for autism, but depression, anxiety, these kinds of things. Most of the pharmaceuticals that are prescribed for these conditions don't actually treat the root cause, which is heavy metals in the brain. So you got to think there's like billions of dollars that are being made by basically every single person on this fucking planet is taking some sort of antidepressant or anti-anxiety or some sort of Ritalin or some kind of focusing medication for their brain. Right? If they have narcolepsy or things like this. Let me drink some water 1 sec. Welcome to the stream, everyone. Yep, the way we detox from heavy metals, there's a heavy metal detox smoothie in Brain Saver. The Medical Medium Morning Cleanse, I've spoken about this a lot in other videos. We're going to talk a little bit about that, okay, as we go on. All right, but if you're looking for info how to cleanse from heavy metals, I have a video on my channel. It's called the Heavy Metal Detox Smoothie, and there's links in the description of that video. Okay, I've spoken a lot. I have a diet advice playlist, a lot of there's info there. We're going to go into that more. Okay, so stay tuned. It's a good question. We're going to go into that more. We're going to talk about why that's an effective method, and it's been proven to work for not just me, but also for millions of people all around the world. And it's cutting edge stuff that's more advanced than modern science. There's not a lot of research that has been done into it because our modern science is biased against food-based healing solutions because it's not a pill that can be sold. So what was I saying? So many psychological issues that you face are not just because of childhood trauma or because of PTSD in some sort of emotional way. Now, of course, that's a factor, okay? And it is important to self-reflect, journal, meditate, right? These things are good, right? I'm not gonna say these are bad things, right? But one factor that is almost never talked about and definitely not taken as seriously as it needs to be taken is realizing that most people literally have toxic metals in their brain that disrupt the electromagnetic signals. Because if you have a metal, right, think about how metal conducts electricity, right? So if you have a metal in the wrong place in your brain where it's not supposed to be, that literally jumbles up the nerve electricity. So what I'm learning from the book Brain Saver, which you can listen to on Spotify, by the way, if you have Spotify Premium, there's like a free audiobook of this whole book. You can get that for free. You can get it on Audible, right? You can buy the actual book. Maybe you can find a PDF somewhere, library, right? There's many ways to access this information. It's very available. There's a lot of live streams. There's podcasts on Medical Medium's podcast channel. I'd encourage you listening to that more. So I'm learning that the electricity in your brain actually carries information in the electricity. Sort of like in the same way when there's electricity that's sent through the telephone poles, the telephone wires, right? And then you're like talking on the phone with someone and there's like electricity that's being sent through, and that electricity is actually carrying information with it, right? The same thing happens with your brain. So this is something that modern science and research doesn't fully understand. It doesn't fully recognize yet because we don't have the tools to measure the fact that there's literal information that's being carried by the electricity that is in your brain. The electricity itself is information. When this electricity is being sent from neuron to neuron, because your brain is made of neurons, right? Hello, welcome to the stream. Thanks for coming, guys. Appreciate your presence. Thank you. Sending some electricity to your brain. Hopefully it's not too jumbled, right? Try to make it clear, okay? So the electricity, it gets jumbled when it is blocked by a toxic heavy metal deposit or an alloy. Okay, so if you have an alloy that has been heated up, right, and sometimes it even starts to oxidize, right? So there's literal heavy metals in your brain, and that jumbles and mixes up the information that's being sent from neuron to neuron. So when someone has brain fog, when someone has ADHD, that's because the ADHD, what that means is that this is not recognized by leading ADHD research. This is like a small part. Maybe they know, perhaps, maybe, potentially, metals might be a factor according to maybe it's genetics. So people will say, Adam, leading edge ADHD researchers do recognize that metals could be a role in the cause of ADHD. But no, actually, no. You're giving more credit than is actually due, because when someone, a leading edge ADHD psychologist or researcher, when you Google what causes ADHD, basically they say we don't fully know. If you go on Google and you look at like the mainstream conventional causes of ADHD, the answer is we don't know. It could be environmental factors, it could be genetics, it could be trauma, right? It could be metals, right? So there's this like gamut. And of course, all of these things besides genetics, because genetics is a different, that's not the cause of any illness, right? Genetics are just a code, but that's too deep of a point. We're going to get too off track. But yes, emotional trauma. Yes, environmental factors, yes, heavy metals, all of these can contribute to the cause of ADHD, but they're not understanding that the metals mainly, right, are the actual cause, and not understanding that when someone experiences emotional trauma, let's say you're 2 years old or you're 3 years old and your parents are screaming at each other, or something happens, you fall or you get hurt, or whatever, you have a traumatic experience when you're very young, this causes the brain to heat up, right? And you get really scared or you get really angry. Your brain literally it heats up. It's like you get heated, when someone's really in a heated argument or they're heated, right? It's because you're literally you're getting hot-headed. Your brain is actually heating up. This can cause certain metals to oxidize, metals that are there where before they weren't causing a problem, or they were like at this tipping point where they were about to cause a problem. And then when you get into that argument, that emotionally charged event, that can trigger this metal to oxidize, to fuse with other metals to create like an alloy, right? It can blend with other metals, and then all of a sudden you start experiencing ADHD symptoms, or autism symptoms, or OCD symptoms, or PTSD symptoms. Most of these psychological issues that are ravaging the planet, if you literally go around and knock on people's doors and you talk to your friends and this person, it seems like the rates of these psychological diagnoses are going up massively. Now, of course, there's many factors, there's more availability of testing, blah, 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 right? So there's many factors that contribute to the increase of the diagnoses. But in general, I think we can all agree that there is some sort of mental health crisis that is sort of going on our planet, where more and more people are having more and more difficulty using their brains, okay, and functioning in a way that feels aligned and healthy. So what I'm describing is that here on planet Earth, hello, welcome to planet Earth, we are dumping massive amounts of toxic chemicals into our environment, into the air that we breathe. And we're wearing these colognes and perfumes and chemicals. There's fucking chemicals. We're inundated with chemicals, pesticides, right? Yeah, vaccines, that's true. Mercury tooth filings, yes, of course, these are all factors that contribute to the main factor, right? Which is these, in the case of mental health, there's metals in the brain. There's also a side factor, which is also very relevant, which involves viruses and bacteria, right? Certain viruses like herpes, strep is a bacteria, right? So pathogens like herpes, streptococcus, staphylococcus, cytomegalovirus, different variations of HPV, types of H. pylori, shingles, Epstein-Barr virus. These are all viruses that many people have. Okay, the odds are you probably have strep in some degree or level, and it lives dormant in your body, and then it flares up in certain points of your life. Sometimes you have a sore throat. That's strep flaring up. So you have strep in your body. It's everywhere. You get it. You go outside, you go to a Starbucks, right? You touch the table there, right? Some other guy who used it before you had strep, and he sneezed on it, right? And you touch it with your hand, and then you grab your ear pods, or you grab your ear pods, you put it into your ear, right? And now your hands have strep on them, and you put your ear pod into your ear, and now you have a new strain of strep introduced into your system, right? These strep and these viruses, they feed off of certain foods that are in your diet, right? Eggs, gluten, soy, canola oil, dairy, right? These are big troublemaker foods that feed these viruses. And then, in addition to that, these viruses can also feed off of chemicals like certain toxic fragrances. So again, the detergents that you're using, right? They contain toxic fragrances. You think about it, you're washing your pillowcase, right, in Tide, right? Or some sort of detergent that has a fragrance that's actually it's toxic, and then you're sleeping on that for 12 hours, and you're smelling this chemical which is synthesized in a laboratory and is not good for your immune system or your hormones or your endocrine system or anything like that. And we're inundated with this. It's in your house. Certain people, they have plug-in air fresheners. Sorry guys, I know we're going rapid fire. I know it's like rapid fire info. I'll slow it down a bit. Yeah, exactly. And then you start to like the smell of the chemicals. But if you take a break, it's kind of like it's like gaslighting almost. You almost like gaslight yourself into liking these chemicals, but they don't smell good. So certain, things you can do to avoid that is like switching to fragrance-free detergents, not using perfumes and colognes, right? If you must use something, maybe like essential oils are a little bit better, but ideally you just are not using that many scented products on your body. Also, like switching to fragrance-free soaps, shampoos, right? A big one is unplugging air fresheners. If you have like those plug-in air fresheners in your house, the first thing if you want to raise your consciousness by like a million points, get that scented air freshener and throw it out. Okay? Get that out of your house ASAP. Same with scented candles. Okay, lighting scented candles. It's poison. You're poisoning your body, your nervous system, your liver. You're actually feeding viruses in your body because it's releasing this poisonous, toxic chemical oil that is not good for you, and it causes many health issues, and it just generally lowers your consciousness, and it prevents you from being the fullest version of yourself. You're stuck in like a lower realm where you can't ascend, and now you're dealing with all these problems like, oh no, I'm addicted to this, or I'm always angry, or I have no energy, or no motivation. I can't stop scrolling. I have ADHD. You know, I don't feel confident. I don't feel excited. I'm not connected to my passion. I don't know what my highest excitement is in my life. I don't feel clear. I don't feel awake. So I'm pointing my finger to some simple things that you could do that make a huge difference, like getting rid of scents, these scented candles, scented cologne, scented plug-in air fresheners. It makes a massive difference. And also going back to your diet, right, is critical. So doing a medical medium cleanse. Yeah, those plug-ins are like, holy smokes. Yeah, I've actually already explained why eggs are not healthy in other videos, right? Many other videos. The main problem, I know we all love our eggs, and trust me, I know when I was doing wrestling and rugby and I was in high school and I was lifting weights, I was told by everyone that I know that eggs are the healthiest food ever. They're full of protein. You should eat them every morning, right? I was eating like 4 eggs a day, but sometimes 6, 8 eggs a day, right? So I know I love my eggs. I love them sunny side up. I love them scrambled, blah, 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 right? We all do, okay? So I know it's a little bit sad when you hear that eggs are not good for you, and they're actually the number one food that feeds unproductive viruses and bacteria in your body, which are the main cause of literally all of your illnesses. All of your illnesses, almost all your illnesses, skin issues, bloating, brain fog, stomach issues, and allergies, right? Basically, like even addictions and this kind of stuff, it's mainly caused because you have viruses in your body. You actually have strep in your body. You have herpes. You have Epstein-Barr virus. These things are in your body when you're eating a lot of eggs. The hormones in that egg feed viruses. Now, you might say, but Adam, haven't humans been eating eggs for thousands of years, and The answer is yes, but you need to think a little bit more critically about this. First of all, the types of viruses that we have in our culture nowadays, many of them, I know it's fucked up to say, but many of them are actually raised in laboratories. So certain flus, you know how the new flu is released every single year? There's like a new strain of the flu. You know, it's like the new update on your iPhone, right? The new flu is out, guys. You know, a lot of these flus, I know it's fucked up. I'm sorry to say it took me a long time to wrap my head around this. I hate to say it, but a lot of these flus and a lot of these viruses and a lot of these C words, you know, this, remember the C word? A lot of these C words, I don't know if I'm even allowed to say it, they're released into the public from laboratories, okay? Why? Well, I know there's a lot of fucked up people on planet Earth, and it's actually massively profitable for many different companies to have human beings be infected with flus, okay, and with different strains of flus, and not to mention different kinds of Epstein-Barr viruses. And what I'm trying to say is that a lot of these flus and stuff in laboratories are raised on eggs. Think about this for a second. You do know, like in science class, when you're trying to raise a bacterial culture or a bacterial colony, yeah, chicken is kind of... One second, I'm gonna plug in my phone. Chicken is like okay. Not the first food that you would cut out. Like chicken's okay. One second, guys. Just plugging in my phone here. Yeah. So guys, again, so if you do have specific questions like, is this food okay? What about this food? What about this food? I'd love to help you with all of that. This is your one-stop shop right here. If you have questions about, Adam, why are eggs bad? Okay, I can only give you so much detail into that because I only have so long that I'm able to talk before I get tired, right? And so this here is the source of the info. There's a whole section, like multiple pages just on eggs and how eggs are used in laboratories to raise bacteria and viruses, okay? It's in order to do testing, experimentation, etc. Eggs feed viruses. The hormones in the eggs are a great food for viruses and bacteria. Many of these viruses and bacteria, is what I'm trying to say, didn't exist thousands of years ago in the Stone Ages when our ancestors were eating eggs. And you got to understand, our ancestors were not eating 5 eggs a day the way we do, fried in oil. Okay? Our ancestors, first of all, when they ate eggs, supposedly, okay, that was like the odd egg here or there, a couple eggs from a nest once in a while as like an additional supplement, as necessary calories to like live another day. Eggs are not the healthiest food that a human being can eat. Your body's not designed to digest and eat eggs. It can eat eggs. We've evolved to be able to eat eggs. But that doesn't mean they're the optimal food source. You're not going to heal by eating eggs. In fact, you're going to get more sick by eating eggs, specifically because of the landscape we live in with viruses and bacteria everywhere. So in the year 2026, it's important you understand that we live in a certain environment where there's chemicals, there's metals, there's pathogens, there's viruses. These pollutants, these environmental pollutants, there's also electromagnetic radiation. There's many environmental factors that are against us in the year 2026 and beyond. So we need to take extra precautions, further precautions to protect ourselves and to keep our body as healthy as possible and functioning as well as possible, such as your lemon water in the morning, such as 16 ounces of fresh juiced celery. That celery juice, it kills viruses. It cleanses the liver of foods that could potentially be feeding viruses. It helps to restore your nervous system. It helps to restore your brain. The sodium cluster salts in celery juice, okay, are neurotransmitters. They're electrolytes. Your neurotransmitters in your brain use those sodium cluster salts as a complete neurochemical that literally wakes up parts of your brain that have been asleep for a long time, because your body, most people's bodies, are severely lacking in critical sodium. Not sodium from the burger store, Burger King, right? Not sodium from McDonald's. I'm talking about sodium from leafy greens, from herbs, from celery juice, right? It's a type of sodium your body desperately craves. Sodium from fruits and vegetables, your body is severely deficient in these. So when you're drinking celery juice first thing in the morning on an empty stomach, you're giving your body a direct infusion of exactly all of the vitamins and minerals that it needs to survive and to be healthy and to thrive. All right, one sec, guys. I gotta pee, and yeah, I'll be back in literally 1 minute. Just one second. Hello. I'm back. Let's answer some questions. Yeah, if you have celery juice the first time and you feel a bit sick, that's completely normal, because the celery juice, when you have it, is actually moving things around inside you. It's flushing out certain bacterias. It's breaking down fats. It's breaking down mold and yeast and unproductive bacteria. If you're feeling sick after drinking celery juice for the first time, that's actually a sign that the inside of your body is very toxic and actually needs that celery juice. So what I would encourage you to do is to drink as much as you can, right? So if you can't do the full 16 ounces at first, start with 8. Right, and then work your way up, right? Maybe you need to acclimate your body to it, right? So start with 8 and then move up to 10 and then move up to 12 and then move up to 16 ounces, and then you can go further. You can go up to 20, right? So after a week or 2 or 3 weeks of doing it every day, you'll start to just feel completely normal after drinking it. And in fact, something will happen where your body will start to crave it, right? Well, you get to the point where you don't have celery juice, you don't feel as good as you normally do when you do have celery juice, right? So I'm trying to point you guys to something like you might be missing out on a certain level of being, a level of existing, a level of being healthy that you might not even know exists until you get there, and then you're like, oh fuck, what was I doing before? Right? Before I was struggling, right? Now I'm doing so well. And it's how do you can't even imagine living without, lemon water in the morning or celery juice in the morning, or having like the heavy metal detox smoothie, right, with wild blueberries, right? Some days I don't have wild blueberries, and I'm like, fuck, I wish I had wild blueberries today, because I actually feel them in my brain healing me. Like, you can, you understand? You feel my brain being healed. You actually can feel like toxins being pulled down out of your brain. It's a beautiful feeling. It feels very healthy and good. May we all be crazy healthy. Yeah. That's my affirmation. Yes, so on a medical medium, according to medical medium, yeah, the following highest excitement thing's going amazing. I'll talk more about that, absolutely. I'm making a free guide that's fully based on just giving you more clarity about how to follow your highest excitement. I'm still doing that, and it's been great, and I'm really excited. The guide is almost done, so that'll be out probably in the next few days even. I've been working on it for a little while now. So if you're interested in that, I'll share with you a link. It's not finished yet, but it'll be out soon. So I'll post an update. You'll probably see. Excited about that. I'm gonna talk more about the following your highest excitement thing. That is like a critical way to just living and on planet Earth. Yeah, sometimes it is a little bit vague. I agree. I'm trying to make it more practical for the peeps. Yeah, so I just wanted to share, guys, because I've been feeling really good with all the medical medium protocols I've been doing. I'm currently doing what's called the 369 cleanse. So I'm waking up and having lemon water and then celery juice after 15-30 minutes. And then after 30 minutes of my celery juice digesting, then I'll have the heavy metal detox smoothie, right, which has wild blueberries, bananas, spirulina, cilantro, Atlantic sea dulse, barley grass juice powder. So I have a recipe on my channel, right? And obviously Medical Medium has articles like Heavy Metal Detox 101 on medicalmedium.com, right? So there's like all your FAQ there and how to make it and so forth. So I've been having that. That's like life changing. After that, I'll wait about 30 minutes to have my lemon water. So that's where I'm at now in my day. And then usually after that, I'll have some apples. And all of this info, by the way, is literally in the Cleanse to Heal book. And so it's like in the books. So if you want this info, grab one of those books. Any book by Medical Medium will have details for these cleanse protocols that I'm using. So then I'll have some apples. And then for like, lunch, dinner kind of thing, I'll have like a big salad, right? So like leafy greens with sometimes I'll cut tomatoes in there. I'll put garlic, right? Cucumbers. I'll put a little bit of maple syrup and lemon as the dressing. It's like a sweet sour dressing. I'm not putting oil. So the point of my cleanse that I'm doing is I'm not having any fat at all. When you abstain from having fat, you kind of lower your fat intake, because most people are addicted to fat. So you won't be able to like go fully fat free right away. But if you kind of wean off fat and then eventually get to the point where I'm at, where you could do a cleanse with no fat at all, no oil, no meat, no dairy, eggs. Obviously, I'm not eating those anyways. Yeah, so when you go no fat, it allows all the nutrients you're eating from all the other healthy foods to be absorbed better. Because fat is very thick, it's acidic, it thickens your blood. It also kind of clogs your liver, has to like work harder to digest it. So when you take a break from fat, you're actually giving your liver and the rest of your body a break to be able to heal all the other stuff that it needs to deal with: metals, viruses, damaged tissues, and all that kind of stuff. So after my salad, I'll usually wait like maybe half an hour again, an hour, and then I'll have a steamed vegetable. So I'll put either potatoes on a steamer, or I'll put zucchini on a steamer, or Brussels sprouts, or asparagus, or sometimes I'll put some onions on the steamer. You can steam sweet potatoes, squash. I'll steam a vegetable, basically broccoli, cauliflower, and I'll eat a big serving of that. On my cleanse, I'll usually eat it plain, right? Which might sound a bit scary at first, but over time your palate gets used to it, and you actually start to enjoy the taste of like plain cabbage or plain zucchini. You actually find you'll start to appreciate the way like a plain zucchini tastes. It's very sweet, right? It's a little bit, has a bit of bitterness, which is the antioxidants. Like you'll get used to that. When I'm not doing a more serious cleanse, I'll put some spices on there. No, I won't put salt, but I will, you put any kind of spice that's not like a seasoning blend that has, all these additives, just like pure spices, right? Oregano, thyme, rosemary, parsley flakes, garlic powder, onion powder, paprika, cumin, right? All these kind of spices. I'll put that on my food. And then after my steamed vegetable, that's basically my dinner. And then if I'm still hungry later in the evening, which I usually am, I'll have some dates, have more apples, maybe some frozen bananas as ice cream. I'll blend some frozen bananas. I'll have that as an ice cream. I'll usually have a tea with raw honey. I'll have like a lemon balm tea, caffeine free. So again, guys, all the info is in the Medical Medium books. Okay, if you have a book like Cleanse to Heal, you can literally just go to one of these pages, like the 369 cleanse, and he's literally giving you a meal plan. Excuse me, like day 1, what to eat, right, and then morning breakfast. Sorry, I'm just trying to get this a little bit better. Waking, breakfast, morning snack, lunch, before bed. Okay. And there's all kinds of like recipes in here, right? Steamed butternut squash noodles, right? All kinds of recipes. Garlic Brussels sprouts with asparagus. Why not, right? Zucchini basil soup. A lot of them are pretty easy to make. And all the ingredients are like super natural, super simple, really healthy, good quality stuff here. And yeah, that's the healthiest diet on planet Earth. And if you follow it, you'll ascend in consciousness. And if you don't follow it, you'll have more trouble and more difficulty ascending in consciousness, because you're not aligning your food and information about food intake. You're not aligning the intake of your food and your nutriment, which is both physical and mental. Your nutriment is not aligned with the actual functioning of your body and the way reality actually works. The reason why Medical Medium has the objective truth about how the human body works, which has already been verified by millions of people using his cleanse protocols and healing severe illnesses where they already tried dozens of different cleanses and keto and paleo and vegan and carnivore and this functional medicine doctor and that functional medicine doctor and this acupuncturist and energy healer. And when people are chronically ill with severe neurological issues where they can't even walk, they can't get out of bed, or they have muscular dystrophy or just horrendous chronic illnesses that a lot of people are like on the brink of dying, and they've tried everything and nothing has worked, and then they apply the Medical Medium info, and it's the first the first information they've ever heard that has clear, crystal clear descriptions of why you're sick in the first place. Not guessing games. You gotta understand, most influencers on social media, they're playing guessing games, talking about stuff like your microbiome, right? Oh, you're sick because of the microbiome. It's all about your microbiome, right? You got to take this fermented food and this sauerkraut and this probiotic and this, kefir and all this, right? But nobody has ever permanently healed a severe chronic illness by eating more kefir or by eating sauerkraut. If that was all it took to permanently heal a severe neurological issue, like ALS, right, or PCOS, or you got to understand what I'm trying to say is that most people's health information on the internet, if it's not pulling directly from medical medium, a majority of it, it's just guessing games. It's just like when you go to your doctor and you show him, hey, I have eczema. Why do I have eczema, doc? He doesn't know. Oh, I don't know. It means your genetics, right? Maybe it's your autoimmune. Oh, hey, doc, my stomach's been killing me. I have Crohn. They could maybe give you a label. Maybe they'll take some blood, right? Maybe they'll give you a label, which may or may not be accurate about what you have. Oh, I have Crohn's disease. I have colitis. I have, chronic migraines. I have Hashimoto's thyroiditis, right? I have these like labels for my symptom, but we don't have information about what causes your symptom. The medical paradigm right now doesn't know that Hashimoto's thyroiditis is caused by Epstein-Barr virus burrowing into the actual thyroid gland, creating homes, feeding off heavy metals and other troublemaker foods like eggs, dairy, wheat, canola oil, and these kinds of things, and then excreting a neurotoxin that is overburdening not only your liver, but it's literally drilling holes into your thyroid and is forcing your thyroid to become hypo or hyper, right? Which leads to these problems like chronic fatigue, cold hands and feet, tingles and numbness, this kind of stuff. This is becoming more common in the coming ages. We see these kinds of issues are not only happening to old people, but they're becoming more and more common in young people, right? So people who are 20 or 15 are developing ovarian cysts, or they have IBS. They can't digest food, irritable bowel syndrome. They have Crohn's disease. They have eczema, like I did since I was 1 year old. And these are becoming more common to the point where you can't say it's your genetics, right? It's like all of a sudden the human species has just evolved, millions of different diseases. That doesn't make sense. So what medical medium's explaining, the only information on planet Earth that has the actual clear and crystal clear descriptions of why these illnesses are happening, specific, detailed information about the Epstein-Barr virus, how it works, the different stages. Stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, how it affects the thyroid, how it affects the liver, how it affects the nervous system, how it can bind onto the nerve sheaths, right, and excrete neurotoxins, and how it works, how it advances through different stages, how it takes advantage of lowered immune systems that can be caused by exposure to toxic fragrances. It can be caused by emotional events. When you have like a traumatic breakup with someone in your life, right? That can trigger the Epstein-Barr virus to become more advanced. Anyways, Yeah, so what I'm basically sharing with you right now is like the most important information, or some of the most important information on the entire planet right now. If you are serious about like healing your body and your mind, this is like the real shit right here. This is like what you want to be looking into. This is what you want to be doing your best to practice. You want to be prioritizing doing some sort of medical medium protocol, even if it's something as simple as the morning cleanse, which is lemon water in the morning, followed by celery juice, followed by fruit. Even that, keeping your morning fat free, something like that can make a leaps and bounds of a difference in all of your physical symptoms, many of which you don't even realize you have. Some people don't even realize they have chronic brain fog until it goes away. Think about it. You might have symptoms that you're used to living with: acne, right? Exhaustion, chronic fatigue, digestive issues, allergies, right? These things, certain things, I was living with these things. I didn't even know I was living with these things. I kind of knew, but I kind of got used to it. I just got used to having acne. I got used to having bloating in my stomach, or not sleeping properly, or I got used to, having a constant runny nose, stuffy nose, itchy eyes. You get used to these things, and you come up with these explanations for what's causing these things that are just made up. You're just guessing. The other day I was at my cousin's house and he had a few pieces of fruit, and all of a sudden his allergies just went into like hyperdrive. Where he's, blowing his nose, itchy throat, eyes, everything. He didn't know what the heck was going on. All he had was a couple grapes and a few papayas, and all of a sudden, all his allergies are kicking in, and there's it's still March, there's snow outside, right? So there's no reason for seasonal allergies to be kicking in at this time of the season. But he didn't know why, and then I had to then research later on that the reason why when some people eat fruit and they get allergic reactions is actually because the fruit is literally killing viruses in your body. And then when these viruses die, like, and if you're eating papaya, it's actually antibacterial. You eat grapes, those foods, strawberries, berries, apples, bananas, these foods are antiviral and antibacterial. They kill viruses in your body. When you eat them and you get an allergic reaction, that's actually because it's killing a virus in your body. That virus then explodes. When the virus dies, it explodes, and it actually releases all of the shit that virus has been eating and feeding on, which modern medical research and science doesn't even know that viruses eat. They think viruses are the only living things on earth that don't eat, because we don't realize how viruses eat, right? So we don't even that's how far behind our science is. We don't even know that viruses feed on anything. We think viruses just exist, right? And they violate the laws of life, that beings need to eat, right? They need energy somehow. So viruses will feed off metal, wheat, eggs, and then when the fruit kills them, they'll actually explode. And then all of the shit that it was eating, the metals, the wheat, and the eggs, that now is added into your system, and that overloads your liver big time. And since most people's immune systems are like literally hanging in there by a thread, just on the edge, when you eat that fruit, and it kills those viruses, and those viruses explode and add all these extra toxins back into your body, and that's why you get that itchy throat and those itchy eyes and that runny nose, because that's like your body's like last resort mechanism to cleanse. Basically, it's yeah. So what I'm saying is that if you want to have the most advanced, one second, sorry, I talk too much, guys. I'm trying my best here. Yeah, so that's another one, manifesting all your diseases away with affirmations and meditations. Normally, when people manifest their diseases away with affirmations and meditations, it's because they weren't really that sick in the first place. Now, I do think that meditation and affirmations are very powerful, and I think they're great supplementary tools for your healing journey. So, while you're doing a lemon water and celery juice and fruit and vegetable based protocol, which is antiviral, which feeds your body all of the critical glucose and mineral salts and electrolytes and phytochemicals and antioxidants and vitamins and minerals that it needs to be healthy and thrive. So you're giving your body all the proper nutrients and you're understanding how that works. You understand how your body works and how viruses work and how fruits and vegetables work against those viruses and how they support your body in its healing. In addition to that, meditations and affirmations can be very powerful supplementary tools to help with that. Right? So I do meditation and I also do affirmations, and it's great, right? But if you're eating eggs and bacon in the morning, which is clogging your liver, feeding viruses, thickening your blood, acidifying your body, preventing all of your body systems from functioning in their optimal way, suffocating your organs of oxygen because your blood becomes so fatty that the oxygen can't even flow through your blood properly. If that's what you're doing and then you're eating cheese pizza for dinner and you're washing it down with a tub of ice cream and then you're doing your meditations and your affirmations, right? I don't think that is going to get you those results that you want when it comes to healing your body. Right? Because that's called bypassing. You're bypassing cause and effect. You can't ignore the fact that when you eat a certain food, that's a cause that has an effect. If you eat ice cream, you can't pretend like that's not disgusting. Like, the chemicals that are in that shit, if you read the ingredients of your Ben and Jerry's ice cream, you literally throw up. Putting that in your body, it's disgusting. You can't ignore that cause and effect. So I am a fan of doing both. Doing a cleanse that is the most advanced and intelligent and wise and compassionate and effective and proven cleanse on the entire planet by a massive margin, like by such a wide margin that you can't even comprehend how much better this information is than all the other information that's out there. It's actually embarrassing for other sources of information to have the arrogance to think that they are like providing healing for people. Meanwhile, most of their info is just guessing. There's the amount of clarity and connections and understanding that you gain from buying one of these books and just working through it slowly, 2 minutes a day. You don't have to read. I know you're busy. I know you have a lot of stuff to think about. I know, you have your whole life, right? I get that. So one of these books, reading 2 minutes a day, right? Before you go to bed or something, one paragraph a day, slowly, right? There's no rush, okay? And then maybe implementing one or two of these protocols every day, even something as simple as, celery juice is obviously critical, but bringing in more of these fruits and vegetables into your life. It can be a simple practice. Like even if you don't have life-changing foods, I recommend you buy it, right? It's a good investment. But let's say you don't want to right now. Whenever you eat a certain fruit or a vegetable, Just Google that fruit's name and then Google it medical medium. Right, so let's see if I can share my screen here. Let me see. That's not quite working. Okay, I don't think we're sharing our screen today. But just when you eat like an apple, just Google medical medium apples. And then an article will pop up about apples, and you read about apples as you're eating the apple. That increases the apple's ability to heal you. So if you want to talk about affirmations, you're talking about affirmations, right? When you're reading medical medium info, which is accurate info, that's actually aligned with the way it works, because he's getting very advanced information from above, from spirit, and that's been proven already. And even if he was getting his info from, an alien zebra that lived on the planet Neptune, right? Even if he was getting his info from an alien zebra on Neptune, it doesn't matter, because the info is so fucking good and it makes so much sense and it's so effective and it works so well when you apply it, that it doesn't fucking matter where he's getting his info. But it does, to understand he's getting his info from spirit, right? From compassion. He's actually getting his info from love, from wisdom, from clarity, from awakening. He's getting his info from, he has a gift. We're lucky. There's a guy who has a gift and he's got the best info, and that's you're welcome. Thank God for Earth. Thank God for that, right? Literally, thank God for the info. That's where it comes from. Now, of course, this does raise epistemological questions. Some people are skeptical. There's no reason to be skeptical, really, because the info works so fucking well and it makes so much sense and it's just clearly better than all the other info out there. So the skepticism is valid, but it's not really like, it kind of crumbles. The skepticism crumbles after you look deeper into it. People are skeptical, but then they won't look into it. So it's that's passive skepticism. Active skepticism is okay, I'm skeptical, but I'm gonna read the book and I'm gonna do the protocol for 6 months, and then I'll be skeptical after I actually absorb. You know what I mean? Get what I'm saying? People are skeptical, but then they're they're not changing their behavior. They're not reading the book. They're just skeptical just to be skeptical, just because someone told them that they should be skeptical. So they think they're being smart by being skeptical, but you don't realize that true skepticism is just the desire for the most accurate info. And when you read it and anyways, I'm done. I'm not too much talking. What's up, guys? I'm open to questions. Thank you so much for attending this live stream with me. Thank you. Hope this is helping. Appreciate you. Having my lemon water, got my apple here. Yeah, the original thing I wanted to say is that the food you eat becomes you. Yeah, you can do it. You can do it. I'll try to eat right. Yeah. You can do it. I believe in you. It's doesn't have to be difficult. When you say you'll try, sometimes it kind of implies that it's like you're not going to do it, right? You can kind of just choose like either you're going to do it or you're not going to do it. It's just a choice. It's not like trying kind of keeps you in this like in between realm of like, but go slow, right? Do what you can. One thing at a time. Yeah, yeah. The best way to listen to your higher self is to follow your highest passion. Um, I don't know if the info I'm sharing with you is like resonating with you. I appreciate your presence here. I'm doing my best to just share what excites me and what's been working for me and what makes me happy. So if you're kind of tapping into that at the same time as I am, then maybe we're connected in that sense. And if the info I'm sharing is like exciting for you, then maybe that is your higher self sort of pointing you in a certain direction, right? All right, so that's the food info of the day. Maybe, yeah. I am going to be talking about following your highest passion. I have a guide that is on the way. It's a free guide. I'm almost done. Um, I've been working on it for a little while. It's like a couple pages. I've been sort of just getting into the the right vibes. Yeah, you're very welcome. Um, yeah, I've been really loving working on this highest excitement guide. It's really fun. It's good stuff. I find my life is a lot easier. It flows a lot better. I feel more excited, more healthy, more alive, more passionate, more awake, more free, and all that when I'm acting on my highest passion in the moment. I'm doing what feels the most exciting for me to do. Right? In every present moment, you ask yourself, what's the most exciting thing that I can do now? And you act on that first. So maybe we can change gears a little bit. So we were talking about food. Okay, I think we got my food message through. Okay. The food you eat becomes your consciousness, and you're not able to present high consciousness information or to acquire and embody high consciousness information if the food you're eating isn't aligned with high consciousness information. Comprendo. Food contains information. Did you know that? When you eat an orange, right? You're not just eating an orange. The water that's in that orange contains information from nature. There's the water is alive. It's not dead. That's when you eat fruit. It's alive. It's living water. You're eating living water. There's literally electricity in it. There's glucose in it that is binded onto all sorts of minerals, phytochemicals, antioxidants, electrolytes, vitamins. The glucose, the sugars binded onto all of these things, and then when you eat it with the water, it's like it heals you. Thanks. Yeah. Appreciate it. Yeah, it looks nice because I put the the light on. See? That's my It's my strategy. I have to pee again, and I'll be back. We're going to talk about highest excitement when I get back. If you want to hear about highest excitement, we'll talk about that a little bit. 1 sec, one pee break. 1 sec, take a stretch break. Holy shit, it's cold outside today. I don't know if you guys, it's been cold. We've been getting some cold weather. 1 second, guys. I'm just boosting my camera. Let's see. Yeah, I know. I'm super well hydrated. Sometimes, yeah, I gotta pee a lot. Okay, 1 sec. Just boosting up my camera here. Cold outside here in Canada. Holy smokes, it's March. Where's that warm weather? Where's the streamer? He's over here. Hello, welcome. All right. All right, so speaking of following my highest passion, I think I'm going to head out because I want to go outside even though it's cold. But that's what's the most exciting for me. So thank you everyone for coming to the stream. I'm going to be creating more content around the subject of diet, super important, and also following your highest passion, your highest excitement. I have a free guide that's on the way. It should be out soon. So whenever that's out, I'm going to link it in the description of this live stream. And I'm also just going to post about it on my channel. So you can subscribe to my YouTube channel for that. We're talking about aligning with your highest version of yourself, following your highest passion. It's a very life-changing thing. It increases the amount of joy and love and abundance you experience in your life. And it synchronistically aligns you with your highest self and your most fulfilling timeline. Thank you. Good. Yeah, live in joy. There you go. I don't know if you saw my post from the Buddha. It was phenomenal. I posted it today on the community. The man who is awake. I think it said somewhere here. Live in your heart, seek the highest consciousness. What the heck? Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for coming, everyone. You'll hear from me soon. You'll hear from me soon. Okay? Thanks. Peace. Yeah. Live in your heart, seek the